My name is Marie Smythe, and I'm the Chief Development Officer for Central Texas Musical Arts. And I'm here today with Trey Thompson, our Music and Artistic Director, and we're here to talk about our upcoming concert series. So our theme, Trey, for our March concert series is Songs from the Heart. And I was just wondering, is there any particular reason we chose that theme?
Well, it's too late to call it a Valentine's Day concert, but we just passed Valentine's Day. I mean, relatively recently, so I felt like it was a little bit too late to call it that, but it's close enough in proximity to be thematic enough, so we had to come up with a title that wasn't Valentine's Day concert, but was in fact about songs, that are from an emotional place, from a place of love, from the heart, as we settled on.
Awesome. And as you just alluded to, some of our musical pieces deal directly with love, but others have a more indirect connection to the theme of love. Can you tell us a little bit about the pieces that the orchestra is going to be playing and a little bit about those selections?
So you have pieces like Can You Feel the Love Tonight? It's very on the nose, right? It's in the name of the song. And that song, of course, has words that are very directly about love and all this kind of stuff. And then there's other pieces, as you said, that are a little more ethereal in their connection, and we have to know some history. So, for example, the Berlioz Symphony Fantastique that we're doing, the fourth movement of it, Berlioz wrote this piece as effectively a giant love letter to an actress that he was madly in love with. It was an unrequited love, but he wrote this piece to appeal to her, to listen to his message, to hear him out. And the good news for him is that she did. After hearing the piece, she fell in love with him. They wound up married.
Wow.
So, who says romance is dead? But the particular movement that we're playing is a little more remotely attached to love. It's an opioid-fueled hallucination or dream in which our protagonist is taken to the scaffold and beheaded. But it's in this larger work, and you hear this tune at the end called the, in English, the fixed idea. And this is representative for him, for Berlioz, of his love. And so anyway, there's a story with that piece that connects it to love. We have the Tchaikovsky Romeo and Juliet overture based on, of course, the Shakespeare play, which is all about the love of Romeo and Juliet. We have Across the Stars from John Williams from the Star Wars saga. And that theme that we hear in that is the love theme for Anakin and Padme in the second trilogy. It's not, again, it's like you're not going to hear it and immediately, there's no words. There is no self-evident connection, let's say, to love. But if you've watched the Star Wars film, and of course they're ingrained in our culture, Williams uses this tune anytime there's a moment where Anakin is thinking about Padme. And for example, the last thing Anakin does before he goes to the temple to, let's say, do away with the young Jedi, is he's thinking about Padme. And you hear this theme before he turns to go commit this heinous act, and you hear the beginnings rumblings of the Imperial March, which is quite fun. Anyway, so all that to say, all of this music has some connection to love in some way. Some of it more overt, some a little more, I said ethereal already, but, less concrete, let's say.
Yeah.
But it's all in one way or another connected to the idea of love.
Awesome. So another kind of special addition for this concert series is that we have a vocalist that's going to be performing with our orchestra. Can you tell us specifically about the pieces that he will be singing?
So we're singing with Morgan Manafassier, who was my voice teacher in graduate school. I'm not a voice major, but I took voice on the side. That's how he and I met. And from the moment we met, we knew we wanted to work together and we wanted to collaborate on something. And so he and I have been talking for probably 2 years now about when he could come down and join us for something. And I said, we're doing Songs from the Heart. And love songs go back, for millennia, quite literally. So it wasn't hard to find a reason once we had this theme for a concert. The hard part was narrowing it down. This particular piece that we're doing, also by Berlioz, examines love from a lot of different angles. And we're not doing the whole suite. There's 6 songs in total. They actually weren't performed as a complete set until near the end or slightly after the end of Berlioz's life. So there's a precedent for performing select movements. And the text, which is going to be in French, but I should say we'll have English text in the program so people will know what's being sung. Examines love from basically a different angle in each of the movements that we're going to sing. or he's going to sing rather. So going back to what I said earlier, this is certainly a more concrete approach to it. It's poetry, it's sung poetry, but there is at least a more overt connection to love.
Awesome. Well, that should be very nice. So lastly, since we're doing a concert series and the theme is Songs from the Heart, tell me, what does love mean to you?
I don't think I can just answer with my fiance and call it good. That seems a little simplistic. You know, the Greeks had more than one word for love, because love, as we use it in English, downplays the word. Similar to how we've downplayed the word awesome. Love, I love a taco. I do love a taco. I don't love a taco the same way I love my fiance, or the way I love my sister, or these kinds of things. So you had things, you had Eros was the romantic love, you had Storge was the familial love, you had Philia, which was the brotherly love, and you think of like, so the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, that's where that comes from. I'm also a person of faith, and so one of the ones that I get to talk about a lot is agape, which is a very selfless love. And sometimes we think about love as a verb, as an action of I'm loving somebody, which is a whole lot more than a feeling. It's a dedication, it's a devotion, it's a choice. And you can love someone who you don't like when you think about agape and this kind of selfless love. And my hope is that our orchestra, one of the functions it serves in our community is to make them feel agape. We give these concerts, yes, for ourselves, because we as musicians like making music, but also because we want to enrich the culture of our community. We want to uplift them and give the people in Round Rock and in Georgetown and in Pflugerville and in Cedar Park and Leander and these places, we want to give them the chance to hear live music. And I'll say this also. One of my missions as a conductor is to unify people. We are living in a time that is as divided as we've been as a country ever. And there are not so many places or ways that people set aside differences to focus on what does unify us. And music, orchestra, I think in particular, happens to be a great format for that. You look at our orchestra, and there's a lot of people who do not agree with each other on just about anything. Yeah. But when we come and rehearse on Tuesday nights, we don't start by thinking about here's how he or she is different than me. We think about we're musicians. We're here to accomplish a task together. And I think that can foster a kind of love. When you can see past the divisions and see the value in humanity, that's really meaningful and can begin to heal wounds. That's a loving thing to do. That's that kind of agape love, because it's not always easy to do that with people with whom we disagree, but it's important. And that's part of my mission. So that's like why I do music. And that's maybe a much bigger conversation that we mean to have here. But I do hope that even with some of the cheesier love songs that we're doing, but some of the more serious stuff too, that people, most importantly, will learn to love each other, as Elton John might have said.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Trey, for that. And we hope to see you at our March concert series. Our concerts are Saturday, March 8th at 7:30 p.m. in Georgetown at the Klepp Performing Arts Center, and Sunday, March 9th at 3 p.m. at the Leander ISD South Pack at Cedar Park High School. So, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Trey.